Hello and welcome to all you lovely people joining us at home here at Barron's Manor Park Classics. I'd love to tell you it's a lovely sunny day in Southampton, but the weather hasn't quite held, but it'll take a lot more to dampen our spirits here. I'm joined today by two members of the team who've come from our northern branch up in Cheshire. We've got Court and we've got Johnny who'll be helping us out today. Johnny is one of our consigners who helps us out remotely from the Cheshire site. Obviously already given a little wave, boys. But we'll come on through and we'll have a look at some of the stuff that we got on today, because I think honestly, the team have put together a great sale. I mean, walking through, attention is immediately grabbed by this lovely Chesil Speedster. I'll go a bit more into detail on that later, but it is a cracking looking car. The paintwork is superb on that. And I think, obviously nicely badged up as the Porsche replica, I think you can fool a lot of people. Or next to it, we've got this lovely Morgan 4.4, which a bit of an interesting story behind it. This one, pulled out of a garage, had sat there since the 80s. Nobody had fettled with it, worked on it. We pulled it out, got it to our site here in Southampton. All it took was a little bit of oil, turned the key, and the engine fired up. Very resilient little piece of kit. Again, it's got a little bit that needs work on it in terms of the brake pedals seized. But again, for the amount of time it sat there, to have it, come over, start up straight away is an amazing feat and a testament to the reliability of those Ford engines. But again, we'll keep on coming through. We've got a nice selection of military Jeeps, something a bit unusual. And one thing I love about the selection of Jeeps we have the full range here. Everything from an entry level, we've got an M38, which is a post-war production. If someone just wants to get into it for a bit cheaper, go to a couple reenactment shows, stuff like that. Absolutely brilliant. In the middle of the range, we've got this very unusual extended long wheelbase Jeep done up in these British desert colors. Evokes those kind of early days of the SAS and the long range desert group. And then at the top end of these ones that we got on offer, we got this lovely 1943 Willys Jeep, which is another one that I'll tell you a bit more detail about later. Just a little teaser to keep it going. But again, there's a full range. A couple of lovely convertibles here. We've got this Porsche Boxster, which is a very nice edition, been well looked after. A TR3B, which is unusual, a very late one, actually manufactured in South Africa. Or carrying on coming through, we've got a pair of Fords here, which are in remarkably good condition. I mean, this Puma, I believe, somewhere in the order of 30,000 miles. Yeah, 32,000 miles. You get inside, it looks and smells like a new car. I do wonder sometimes how these cars end up being preserved like this. Does someone just buy them from new, take them out a few times, and then they just sit in a garage? Or is it just only taken out for a couple hundred miles? Like, how does a car stay that fresh? And then next to it, we've got this RS2000, which has higher mileage, but you would not know it looking at it. I mean, going through the interior, going over the kind of paintwork, and I'm not sure if it comes up on the camera, but the people I've noticed who have come down in person, the hue on this paint is remarkable. I think it was called Aubergine when it was released, so it looks black when it's in darker kind of light, but you look around in the light and you've got a lovely purplish kind of hue on it. And that one in at £7,500 to £9,500 for a very good example of one of them. Or coming over to the other side, a charming Morris Minor. Or if you followed any of our social media content, which I strongly recommend you do, we have insider kind of videos, stuff that goes up on there showing you what we do, how we work, some more detailed videos on the histories of a couple of the cars that we got in. We did a staff picks, and this one was my pick. Lovely XJS, a rare manual as well. Again, British Racing Green, cream interior, a smooth, well-sorted XJS manual for, I believe, it was £9,000 to £11,000. And the paperwork for that one stacks like a mountain. It was great. Carrying on coming through, keeping on the Jaguar theme, we've got a Jaguar XKR, 4-litre coupe. On the other side, a charming little Italian Job Mini. I believe Molly was very taken with this one, although I was a bit of I needed to get a crowbar to force her out of it. It was very fun. We've got an SL55, of course. I believe out of the team, that was, I think it might have been Johnny's pick. Obviously, of course, fastest automatic car in the world when they were produced. A record that admittedly didn't hold for very long, but I mean, it was beaten by the SLR McLaren, which if you're going to be beaten by something, good bit of kit, and Mercedes at least kept it in-house. But this one, again, lovely example. And we'll come on further through. So another one of my favorites that we covered on some of the short form content was this Alfa Romeo Spider. It was absolutely lovely. I took it out for a drive down the road. We did some filming with it, and it was absolutely lovely and got a lot of attention. I actually had to fight off for a little bit because we went to do our filming, And where we'd parked up, it attracted a crowd of people coming around saying, "Oh, that's lovely. What's that? What's that? Tell me more about it." And I had to embarrassingly admit that it wasn't my car. But again, just looked gorgeous. It's such a timeless design. And BMW Z3? Z3. I don't know why I had a bit of a hiccup then. But very unusual interior on this one. So, I mean, if Charlie wants to come and have a look, just pour into that. Very unusual. But it matches very nicely with the light blue paint. And again, that interior in great condition. All been very well sorted and put together. Charming little cars as well. Another fun, weird fact about these is one of the members of the team is looking at it, comparing insurance quotes. He drives a Citroen Picasso. And he had a look, and this worked out cheaper on the insurance. I don't know how they figure those prices out. I think they just get a dartboard and throw it and see what sticks. But probably not as expensive to run as you would think. Or a very weird little thing, and I love it when we get something that's a bit more unusual, something that you don't see every day. Berkeley Freewheeler. Car that you're meant to drive on a motorcycle license. Obviously, Berkeley did four-wheel sports cars that were relatively popular, but then they decided to pitch this, and the whole idea was that you could go from, if you were a motorcyclist, you could have something that you could drive on your motorcycle license and still get into. Oh, it's not particularly happy. But something that you could drive on the motorcycle license and get up and get into classic sports cars. Very interesting drive on that. Very fun, because it's only got a little 350cc engine, I believe. But again, you've got next to no weight, so the power to weight's actually still very decent on that. Or another fun project that's been worked on that I think has garnered a lot of attention. If we come on through, and the thing I always say to people is it doesn't matter if it's normal day. Give us a call. Come on down if you want to have a look at something. We're always happy to make a cup of tea, sort out a brew, make people feel welcome. At the end of the day, it's what it's all about. But the little project that we've had going is this little scale extra set member of our team's been working on. And it's a very charming little set. It's meant to evoke the kind of Goodwood style with it. It looks absolutely gorgeous. All just a little bit of fun. But again, the main aim is we want people to come down. It'd be a destination for people to come down to, for people to feel welcome, have a look at the cars. The team's very approachable, and we're always happy to help where we can. So if you ever see a car on the website and you want to know a bit more about it, give us a call, come on down. We're always happy to show people cars, show people the history, and help out wherever the team can. Obviously, you've got a very charming little Lotus, which is another one that I will tease for later, give you a few more details on that. Or coming through onto this ramp, we've got a gorgeous Bentley Continental R, which is a big old beastie, but you'd be very surprised how easy it is to drive. I've driven one of them a couple of times, and you could literally, if you really wanted to, single finger, just turn it like that, and it would silky smooth go around. And it can shift a lot quicker than you think. But it just evokes that kind of timeless luxury that, you know, you spend a lot more money on a modern luxury car and you just blend in with everyone else. That makes a statement. But I won't keep you any longer because I know we all want to get down to business. So I'll hand over to Tom to get everything started.
Thank you very much, Lewis, and good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, those of you online and around the world, welcome back, and thank you very much to all of you for coming today. We are down south here in Manor Park Classics, down in Southampton, formerly known as Barron's. Today's terms and conditions on the cars, we got 12.5% plus VAT with a minimum of £600 plus VAT. Also on the bikes, we're on at 15% on the motorbikes today with a subject to a minimum of £300. We also have a few little number plates which are also at 15% and also subject to a minimum of £50. If you need yourself food and drinks, if you go down through here, there's plenty available for you to grab today. Coffees, teas, and Tony's Beige Buffet, as they say. We also have toilets and things if you need them. But without further ado, I'm not going to hang around much longer, ladies and gentlemen. Also, we offer 1 week's free storage as well, and we charge £10 per vehicle per day thereafter. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we're on to lot 101. The first lot of today's sale is the Berkeley T60, the freewheeler 328cc here. Look at this one, stunning little car this is. And we're straight in at £1,000. At £1,000 we start. Say £1,200 next if we can. At £1,000 is the bid. At 1,000, 1,000. Say 12 if you're coming in. At 1,000, 12's bid. 14 back to me. At 1,400. At 1,400, one more, Molly. At 14's bid. 16's on the telephone now. At £1,600. At 1,600, 1,600. Say 18 if anyone else wishes to go again. I'm going to take the gentleman's bid before you online. At 1,800, we're in the room. It's not you online bidder. At 1,800. At 1800, 1800. We're with the floor bidder at the minute. At £1,800. Gentleman's bid here. 18. Two's back in on the telephone. At 2000, 2000. 2-1, he says, okay. At 2001. At 2001. Walking away on the telephones. It's yours at the minute, sir. At 2001. Would anyone like another £100? At 2001, we are bid. At 2000, 2001 on the Berkeley here. At £2,100 is your last chance in fair warning. The first lot of the day. Would anyone else like to come in? It's your last chance then. Fair warning. Gentleman's bid here. At 2,100 once. At 2,100 twice. All finishing done at 2,100. I will need to make a phone call on it, sir. 303, £2,100 provisionally. Let's move on to the next one. Then we go lot number 102. Lot number 102, 1986 in the year, is this charming little character. It's a Fiat Panda. It's the 1000S. Have a good look at this one. Lovely one today. To be sold with no reserve, it must go. I've got lots of commission interest on my book. So we're going to start off with me. I'm going to go 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000, £1,100 I start. At £1,100 is the bid. You're in at 12. I'm going to go 13 with me. 13, 14's back online. I've got 15. 1,500 is my bid here. 16, you're in online. My commission interest is out now at £1,600. Would anyone like to go 17? To be sold today. 17, new bidder, you're in. Endorse it now. 1,700 and £1,800 were bid. At 1,800, 1,800, 1,819's bid now at 19. At £1,900 a bid. At 19 in 2,000, thank you very much. Warminster bidder, you're in at £2,000. At 2,000, 2,000. We'll stay in the hundreds. Would anyone else like to come in for one more? At 2,001, you do. Thank you very much. West Yorkshire bidder now at 2,001. At 2,001, 22. At 2,200, we're back in Warminster now with you at 2,002. At 2,200 is the bid now at 2,002. Make it 3. 2-3 you do. Thanking you. At 2,003, 2-4. At 2,004. At 2,400 we're bid. At 2,425. At 2,005 is the bid now at 2,005. At 2,006. At 2,600 is the bid. At 2,006. Anyone else coming in for 2,7? At £2,600 is going to sell today. So make no mistake. Hammers up for the first time here at 2,006. At 2,600, 2,006, all finishing done then for the second time and selling at 2,007's in. At 2,007, just in time online bidder, 2,008. Back to Warminster we go. At 2,008. At 2,000, 2,800 pounds. We're bid now at 2,008. Anyone coming in for 2,9? Don't miss out. 2,9, thanking you. At 2,009. At 2,900, 2,009 in 3. Find another like this one at £3,000. 3-1, you're in. At 3,001. At 3,000, 3,001, your bid online. 3-2, you're back now. At 3,002, we're with the Warminster bidder at the minute. At 3-3, you're out. At 3,003. At 3,300, 3-4. At 3,004, your bid now. At £3,400. At 3-4 is the bid. At 3-4, 3-4. At 3,004, we finished and done online. Would you like to come in for one more? At 3,004, all finished and done then. Last chance in fair warning. Hammers up. 3-5, back in. At 3,005. 3-6, it goes on. At 3,006. At 3,600. Anyone for 3-7? Are we finished? Are we done online? Last chance in fair warning. I'm going to sell with the online bid. This time and away it goes. Once, twice. Finishing done and selling now at £3,600. It goes. 3-7. 3-7 bid. Sneaking in. Late bidder there. 3-8. Thanking you, Warminster. You're straight back in. Nice fast bidding that time. At £3,800. The bid is with you now at 3,008. At 3,008. At £3,800 is the bid now at 3,008. Hammers up again then. We're selling now at 3,800 once, twice, and it goes at £3,800. Sold at 3,008. Thank you very much, online bidder. Sold your way at 3,800 to 19,842. Thanking you. Moving on down the list we go then. Ladies and gentlemen, up next is the 1968. Have a good look at this one here. It's the lovely little Morris Minor 1000 there. A beloved British favourite, it says here. It definitely is indeed. Have a good look at this one. Practical four-door as well. Starting off straight away with my commission interest, 2,000, 2,2, 2,4. At 2,004. Say 2,6 if you're coming in. At 2,004 is the bid now at 2,004. At 2,004 for the little minor here at just 2,004. At 2,4's bid. At 2,004, 2,006, you're in now. At 2,006. At 2,600 is the bid now at 2,6. I'm going to have to say 2,7 with me. I'll take 2,8 if you're coming back in. At 2,007. At 2,700 is the bid now at 2,007. 2,8's back in. Thank you, new online bidder there at 2,008. At 2008, my interest is out now. It's with the online bid here at 2008. At 28's bid. At 2008, say 29 if anyone else wishes to come in on the Morris here. At 2008, say 29 next. Are we finished and done? Is your last chance in fair warning. If anyone's going to come in, it's now or never. At 2,800, we'll count it down then. At 2,800, currently here online at 2,800 once, twice, finished and done at £2,800. Provisionally with you online at £2,800. That is a provisional bid, and that is 2,739. Thank you very much. Moving down the list we go to lot number 104, lot 104, 1996 in the year. I love this one as well. Love the color, love the shape on it. And it's the BMW 840 Ci. Lovely BMW this is. Absolute cracking car. You're in at 2,000. I'm going to say 2,500, 3,000, 3,500, 4,000 pounds we start. Say 4,500 if you're coming in. At 4,000 pounds we start here with the commission interest at 4,000 pounds. At 4,000, 4,000, 4,500 is that? 4,500's bid. I'm in at 5. At 5,000, 5,000, my bid at 5,000. It's not them online. It's with me here at 5,000. We'll go 250 if they want to come back in, though. At £5,000. Online, you need to go again. It's my commission bidder. I'll take 250. I'll help you out. At £5,000. At 5,250. My commission interest is out now. Online bidder, you're back in. At £5,250 is the bid. At 5,250, 5,250. Make it 5.5. 5.5, you're in. At 5,005. At 5,500, Warwickshire bidder at the minute. At 5,005, 5,750, new telephone bidder making an entrance. At 5,750 with the telephone. At 5,750, 6,000 if you're coming back in. At 6 you do. Thank you very much there. At £6,000 is bid. Online bid. 6,250, 6,250 back in. Telephone bidder at 6,250 and 6,500. At 6,005. Warwickshire's back in the lead now at 6,005. At 6,005. At 6,005 is bid. Out on the telephones then. It's your bid still online at 6,005. I'll take 6,600 if anyone wants to come into play now. We're on the little bites here. At 6,005, the bid is online. At 6,005, say 6,600 if you're coming in anywhere else. Are we finishing done then at 6,005? At 6,500, anyone else like to come in on this one? It's your last chance in fair warning then at 6,500 once, at 6,500 twice, all finished, all done at £6,500. Yeah? Just waiting for an answer on the telephone. Selling at 6,500. Just to be clear, on the telephones, we're doing you a favor online. Just give us a second. At 6,500. At 6,500. Change your heart. At 6,500. Once, twice. Finished and done at 6,500. It is a telephone call online at 6,500. That is your bid there. 135. 13538. That is provisional. I think we're very close on that one. The guy was pretty tempted on the phone, so we'll be in touch very shortly, and I'm sure we'll see that one hammered away during the course of the sale. Lot number 105. We're on to the first one here of the number plates. A nice little registration plate. This is 885BGY. Cool little number plate, this one. Anyone? Nothing on my book on this one. Anyone got £250 to start me off? Anyone interested for £250 to start it off today? Lovely little number plate here. It's £250 to come in. Thank you, online bidder. You're in at 250. At 250's bid. We'll say 300 and we'll go in hundreds if we can do that. At 250's a bid. Say 3 if you're coming in. Cheap little number plate. This is at just £250. At 250's the bid. At £250 the bid. Now 250 is bid. At 253, 3's in. At £300. At 300, say 4 next. At 3's the bid now at 3. At 300, 300, are we finishing done? Would you like to go again online? At 3 is bid. Last chance in fair warning, and all finishing done at just £300 once, twice. Finishing done at £300. Provisional bid there at £300, and we will need to make the phone call on that at £300. Let's go down to lot number 106 in today's sale. Lot number 106, 1999 in the year. The Mitsubishi Shogun, the V6. Look at that. Look how great this looks. Monstrous little machine this was there. We're going to go straight in. You're in at 2. I'm in at 2.5, 3, 3.5, £4,000 we start. At 4,000 now, say 5 if you're going to go again. At 4,000, coming in for 500. At £4,000 is the bid now at 4. At 4,000, 4,000, say 500 for one more. At £4,000. At 4,000, 4,000. Are we finishing done at just 4,000? For 5,000. I'm going to have to go with me at £5,000. I'll take 5,500 if they want to come back in. At £5,000 is the bid now at 5. At 5,000, 5,000 on the Shogun here at just £5,000. Are we sure and done? Would you like another 500? At £5,000 is the bid now at 5.5. Online bidder in the Isle of Wight. Welcome to you at 5,005. The bid is with you. My commission interest is out now at 5,005. 5,005 and 6. 6 is in. New bidder now. Cheshire bidder here at £6,000. We'll take the 250s if it helps you out. We'll go in the quarter bids. At £6,000, say 250 for one more. At 6,000, 6,000. Would anyone like to have a go on this one? At £6,000 with the online bidder at the minute. At 6,000, 6,000. At £6,000 is the bid now at 6. Are we finishing done? Say one more 250 if you're coming back in. At 6,000, 6,000. Last chance in fair warning, online underbidder. Would you like to come back in for one more? At £6,000. At 6,000, 6,000. All finishing done then. Last chance in fair warning. Once at £6,000. Twice. Finishing done then at £6,000. That's provisionally online there with you at £6,000. Right then, moving on to lot number 107. Another great car in today's vehicle. Have a good look around this one, ladies and gentlemen. 1998 is the year. It's the Toyota Chaser. You don't see many of these JDM cars on our roads. The drifting dream there. We're going to start in straight away. I've got several interests on my book. I'm going to go 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7. £7,000 we start. At £7,000 is the bid now at 7. At £7,000 on the Chaser here. At £7,000. At 7,000, 7,000. Say 500 for one more if you're coming in. 7,500 and 8,000 now. At 8,000, I'm going to have to go 9,000 with me. I'll take 9,500 if the underbidder wants to come back in. At £9,000. At 9,000, 9,000 coming in for another 5. Find another one as immaculate as this. At £9,000. At 9,000, 9,000. 9,500's in online with you. Back to me at 10. At £10,000 with my commission interest at the minute. At £10,000 is the bid now at 10. At 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. At £10,000 is the bid now. You coming back in for another 5. At £10,000 is the bid now at 10. All finishing done then at £10,000. At 10,000, 10,000. Last chance in fair warning then. At £10,000 and 5 you're in. My commission interest is out. Online bid has it in a way at 10,005. At 10,000, 10,500 is with you at the minute online. At £10,500 is the bid here online at 10,005. At 10,005, say 11 for one more. At 10,005 and 11's bid, £11,000. At 11,000, 11,000. At £11,000 is the bid now at 11. Would you like to go again for 5? At £11,000 is the bid now at 11. Are we finished and done? Would you like to come back in for one more? We look for you now online. At £11,000 is the bid now at 11. Are we finished and done then? We'll count it down. At £11,000 on the Toyota Chaser, this time in a way. At £11,000 once. And twice. Finished and done then at £11,000. 11,000, thank you. That is a provisional bid. Again, £11,000. We will see what we can do for you. We are a little way off, so we might have some work to do on that one. Moving on to lot number 108, 1970. The Chesil Speedster, one of my favorites. And what can you tell me about this, Lewis?
Thank you very much, Tom. I mean, the Porsche 365 Speedster is an iconic car, and for good reason. I mean, they are absolutely gorgeous. But iconic cars command iconic money. So, as an alternative, there were lots of replicas that have sprouted up, and one of the best-known names in the business is Chesil. Now, Chesil's been through a number of iterations, and varying points. You could get parts kits that people build themselves, but of course, if someone's built it themselves in a shed, you can't be guaranteed about the quality you're going to get. So if you're going to pick a replica, you want one that's like this. This one was built by Chesil in 2011. It's off an original VW chassis, and it looks absolutely fantastic. And to boot for this one, soon after it was built, it was locked away into a garage, never really to come out to see the light of day. There's only 156 miles on that speedometer. It is absolutely gorgeous inside and out. You've got the lovely body-colored panels on the inside. This one's been nicely badged up with the Porsche badges to make it a proper replica. And it doesn't get much better than this. And to add that extra bit of security for you, this one, it's got an MOT until July of 2026. It's got a 1.6-litre air-cooled engine. And again, it was built from an original VW chassis, which you can't get now. If you try and get something from Chesil more modern, they ran out of good VW chassis to do, so they've started having to build their own. So if you want one that's done as the original Porsches were, you can't get much better than this. I mean, this one, it's had structural modifications, which were completed by Chesil. It's in the iconic silver. It is up and down a gorgeous, gorgeous car offered at £25,000 to £28,000, which again, for some of the examples that were built from parts kits, you'd struggle to get this much money. But for one of this quality with this low mileage, that's basically out the box, I think it's a very good price. But as always, the proof will be in the pudding. So I'll hand back over to Tom.
Thank you very much, Lewis. Whilst you were talking there, online's jumped straight in at £10,000. I've gone 11, 12, 13, £14,000. At 14,000, say 15 next. At £14,000 is the bid now at 14. At 14,000, 14,000, 15's in online, 16's my bid. At £16,000. At 16,000, 16,000. Online, would you like to go 17? At £16,000 on the Chesil Speedster here. At £16,000 is the bid. At 16,000, 16,000. 17's in online. Thank you, online bidder. Lancashire bidder, you're in and I'm out. At £17,000. At 17,000, 17,000. At 17,000 is the bid now at 17. I'll tell you what, we're going 500s. Would anyone like 17.5? At £17,000. At 17,000, 17,000. The bid is here online. 17.5. 17.5 telephones in. At £17,500 is bid. At 17.5, 17.5 on the telephones now. At 17,500 the bid. Right-handed telephone bidder with you at 17,005. Say 18 anywhere else. At 17,005. At 17,500 and 18's bid now at 18. Lancashire bidders back in at £18,000. At 18,000, 18,000. At £18,000 is the bid now at 18. 18.5. Thank you, telephone bidder. You're back in. At £18,500 is the bid now at 18.5. At 18,500 we are bid. At 18.5, 18.5. Make it 19 if you're coming back in online now. At 18,005, 19. Thanking you very much online. Your bid there at £19,000. At 19,000, 19,000. On the Chesil Speedster. Stunning, stunning vehicle this is. 19.5, 19.5 telephone bids back in. At 19,005. At 19.5, 19.5. Make it 20 if you wish to go again. Thanking you, online bidder. Lancashire bidder, you're back in at £20,000. At 20,000, 20,000. At £20,000 is the bid now at £20,000. At 20,000, 20,000. 20,005. They say okay on the phone. The phone bidder's in. At 20,005. At 20,500 we're bid. At 20,005 and 21's bid now at 21. At £21,000 is the bid now at 21. At £21,000, 5. Thank you again on the telephone. At 21,005, it's with you at the minute. At 21,500 is the bid. Telephone bidder now at 21,005. At 21,500. 22 you do. Thank you very much. Online is back in now at £22,000. At 22,000. 22,500. Thank you, telephone bidder. Gets in the nod on the phones at £22,500. At 22,005. Online, your turn. Thank you very much, online bidder. 23's back in. At £23,000 now. Chesil Speedster here at £23,000 we're bid. 23.5. Thank you, telephone bidder. You are back in the lead now at £23,500. At 23.5. At 23.5, 23.5. Thank you. 24's in online at £24,000. Was that a thumbs up? We are on sale from this point, ladies and gentlemen. I'll put the hammer in the hand. It sells today. If that sharpens your pencil on the telephone at £24,000. 24.5. 24.5's back in on the telephones now. At 24.5. £25,000 straight away online in the market to be sold today at £25,000 we're bid. And a half, thanking you at 25,005. At 25.5's the bid. It's against you, online bidder. At £25,500 is the bid now at 25.5. At 25.5, you're thinking about it online. Would you like to go again for one more? At £25,500, I'll split the bid once. We'll go for the quarter. It's your last chance in fair warning, though. The hammer's up. We're on the telephone and selling this time in at £25,750. At £25,750 is against you now, telephone bidder. At £25,750, 26 is back in. Thanking you to both the bidders now. Good battle on this one. At £26,000 we're bid. Telephone bidder has it at £26,000. At 26.26. Online, would you like another quarter? At £26,000 then, the hammer is up. At £26,000. We'll count it down. Make no mistake. At 26,000 once, at 26,000 twice, it's hammer time and away it sells at £26,000. Yours, telephone bidder. Thank you very much. At £26,000. I will just put on the telephone on there and I'll leave it down to you guys to sort out, all right? Thank you very much to the telephone bidder there. Moving on down the list we go. Lot number 109 in the sale is this 1972 Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow, the timeless luxury care piece there. Look at that one. Absolute stunning roller this one is. Looks great indeed there. Where are we going to go? Start me off on this one. You're in online. 1,000, 1,500. I'm going to go 2,000, 2,500, 3,000, 3,500, £4,000. 4,000 starts with me. At £4,000 is the bid now at 4. At 4,500, you're in. I'm out already at 4,500. Online bid. At £4,500 for a Rolls-Royce. At £4,500. At 4,500. At 4,000, 4,500. We are bid now at 4,500. At 4,005 is the bid now at 4,005. I'll tell you what, we'll take the quarters if we can, Molly. Coming in for the small bite. The online bid at the minute at 4,005. 4,750. That makes it really hard for me. 4,750 online at 4,755. 5,000, your bid. At £5,000. At 5,000, coming back in for 250. At £5,000 is the bid now at 5. At 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. At £5,000 is the bid now at 5. At £5,000 is the bid now at 5. At 5,000, 5,250 if anyone wants to go again. At £5,000. Cheap little Rolls-Royce here at just £5,000. Make no mistake, are we finished and done? Gentleman's bid at £5,000. At 5,000, 5,000. Are we finished and done? Last chance in fair warning then. At 5,000 once. At 5,000 twice. Your big guys at £5,000. Provisionally with you. 334. Thank you very much. 334. £5,000. Moving down the list we go, lot number 110, the first of the motorbikes in today's sale. What a cool little motorbike this is. Have a good look here. The 1960, it's the Aerial Arrow. Look at that one. I think this one looks absolutely great, and someone else thinks so as well. We're in straight away on the commission interest at £1,000. Say 250 next if we can. At £1,000 is bid. At 1,000, 1,000 on the Aerial Arrow here. 1,000, 1,250, 1,500 back to me. At 1,500, 1,500. At 1,500 is the bid now at 15 on the Aerial Arrow. At £1,500, I'll take 16 if it helps you out. At 1,500 with my commission interest at the minute. At 1,500, 1,500. Online bidder, would you like to go for one more? At 1,500, 1,500. 16 you do. I'm out, you're in online. At 1,600, 17 anywhere else. At 1,600, 1,600 with the online bid here at £1,600. Anyone for 17? Are we finished? Are we done? Last chance in fair warning then with you online at 1,600. We'll count it down then at 1,600 once, twice. Finishing done at £1,600. That's your bid provisionally online at £1,600. Thank you very much. Moving on down to lot number 111. And we got another registration number plate in today. It's the VAE 11A or 11A there. Look at that one there. We're going to go straight in with my commission interest here. I've got 2, 3, 400. We start at £400 here on my commission bid here. At £400 is the bid now at 4. At £400 is the bid now at 400, 400. At £400 we're bid. At 400, 400 is the bid now at 4. At £400 we're bid. Would anyone else like to come in here? At £400, say 5 next if you wish to go again. At £400 is your last chance in fair warning then. At £400 once. At £400 twice, finishing done at £400. 5's in, your bid online. At £500 now. At 500, 500, say 6 anywhere else. With the online bid at the minute, at £500 is the bid. At 500, 500, are we finished? Are we done? Is your last chance in fair warning then with you online. At £500, once, twice, finishing done 500. That's your bid again, provisionally. 739 takes that one at £500. Thanking you, online bidder. Moving on to lot number 112. Lot number 112 this time in 1992 in the year is the Ford Fiesta Flight. Look at that. Another cool, quirky little car you don't see many of on the roads anymore. No reserve, must be sold today. Nothing on my book. Anyone interested to start me off for just £500? Anyone interested at £500 to start? How about £250 to kick it off? Gentleman's bid at £250. At 250, if we ask for 300 next, then we'll run in hundreds if we can. No need, even better. 500, I'll say 600 anywhere else. Five's in online. Gentleman's bid at 600. We'll stay in the hundreds now. At £600 with the gentleman on the floor at £600. At 600, 600. Online, do you like to go 7? Just needs to push it on one. At £600 is the bid with the gentleman here at £600. At 600, 600. Seven's in online now at 700. Would you like 8, sir? 50? 750, okay. At £750 is the bid. At 750, 750. At 750, make it 8 if you're coming back in online. It's here to be sold today. At 750, 8's bid. New bidder now, Staffordshire's in. 850 again, gentleman's bid back in now. At £850. At 850, 850. Would anyone like to go 9? At £850, are we finishing done? Online, would you like to go in again for one more? At £850, we'll count it down then. At 850, once, twice, finishing done and selling with you, sir, at 850. Oh, 9's in. At 900, would you like another 50? At £900 is the bid now at 9. At 900, 900, 900. Oh, I'll take your bid at 950. Thank you, sir. Not you online. At 950, there's 2 of them against you now. At £950, gentleman's bid here. Either one online. Would you like to go for one more? We'll count it down if not. At £950 is a gentleman's bid here. At 950 once. Thousands bid. At £1,000. I'm trying, sir. At £1,000. At 1,000 bid. Say in the 50s for you if it helps. At £1,000. 1,050. Thank you again. At 1,050, gentleman's bid now at £1,050 we are bid. At 1,050, 1,050. Would you like to go again online? Make it nice and quick if you do. Don't miss out. At £1,050 once. Twice. All finished, all done, and selling at £1,050. Your bid, sir, 1,050. Thank you very much. What was your paddle number? 339. Perfect. Right, then moving down list we go. Lot number 113. Wow, have a good look here. 1995 in the year. The Ford Escort RS 2000. Looks very black, as Lewis said there, but it is the aubergine color. Have a good look at this one. What a beautiful Ford this is. I'm going to go straight in, not messing around. 3, 3.5, 4. £4,000. We start. £4,000 is the bid now at 4. Go with it. 5, you're in. At £5,000 with the online bid now at 5. We'll say 5 next if anyone wishes to bid on this one. At £5,000. At 5,500 is the bid. At 5,005. RS 2000 here at just 5,005. At 5,500 with the online bid now at £5,500. At 5,005. At 5,500, are you finishing done? Would you like to go 6? At 5,005 is the bid now at 5,005. I'll tell you what, we'll take the quarter. Would you like the 750? At 5,005 with the online bidder at the minute. At 5,500, we are bid. At 5,005, coming in for the quarter bid now. At 5,500, are you all finished and done? At 5,005. At 5,500, last chance in fair warning then. At 5,500, if we're sure and done, the bid is here online. At 5,500, we'll count it down. At 5,005. At 5,500 once. At 5,500 twice. All finished, all done then at £5,500 with the online bidder at 5,005. Provisionally with you online at £5,500. That is a provisional bid on that one. Missed the bidder number. We'll get it in a minute. Moving down, we go to lot number 114, 2007 in the year. Jaguar XKR, the 4.2 litre auto. Look at that one there. Stunning car again. Looks absolutely great in the showroom under the lights over there. We're going to go straight in at £4,000. At 4,000, 4,000. At £4,000 is the bid now at 4. At 4,000, 4,000, 4,000. At 4,000, we'll say 250 if anyone wishes to bid. At just £4,000. At 4,000, 4,250, you're in. 4,500's my bid. At 4,005. At £4,500 is the bid now at 4,005. At 4,005, 4,750. New bidders in. At 4,750, I've got 5. £5,000 with me. At 5,000, 5,000, go 250 again. At £5,000 is the bid now at 5. 5,250, you're in online. I'm out. At £5,250 is the online bid here at 5,250. At £5,250 is the bid now at 5,250. Are we finishing done? At 5,250, make it 5.5 if you wish to go again. At 5,250 is the bid now at 5,250. We'll finishing done then at £5,250. Last chance in fair warning then at £5,250. Finished and done. 5,250, your bid online, 739, 5,250. Provisional. Moving down the list we go to lot number 115. This time, lot number 115, 1994. There it is there. The Chevrolet Corvette, C4 Corvette, this one. There we go. Imported in 2003 as well. Where are we going to go? Start me off. Anyone interested, start me off at £5,000 for a Corvette. Start me off 5,000. Anyone interested at 5? Going to go straight in with my commission interest at £4,000 then, at 4 bid. At £4,000 is the bid now at 4. At 4,000, 4,000, 4,000. At £4,000 is the bid now at 4. Say 250 if you're coming in. At £4,000 on the Corvette here. At just £4,000 for 250 you're in. At 4,250 is the bid with you online. At £4,250 is bid. At 4,250, 4,250. Would anyone like 4.5? At £4,250 is the bid now at 4,250. Anyone for 4.5? If not, we'll submit the bid, so make no mistake. At 4,250 is the bid now at 4,250. Last chance in fair warning. Is that a bid, sir? £4,500. Thank you very much. Gentleman's bid at 4,005. At 4,005 online, you need to make it 4,750 if you wish to go again. Cheap little car this is at just £4,500. At 4,005. At 4,000, 4,005. Are we finished and done then? Last chance in fair warning then. Gentleman's bid at 4,500 once, twice. Finished and done at 4,500. We will make the phone call on that one, sir. 4,005 342 342. Thank you. Moving down the list, we go to lot number 116. It's the first one in the sale. We got a couple of them. It's 1943. It's the Willys Jeep. And what can you tell us about this cool little vehicle, Lewis?
Thank you very much, Tom. The humble Willys Jeep. I believe it was Patton who described it as one of the 6 machines that won the war. And to be fair, for utility, I can see why. And of the 3 that we have on offer, this is by far the best example. This one, it's an original Willys Jeep from 1943 with a Willys tub on it. And it is in absolutely lovely condition. It was released by the MOD in 1946 in civilian use, and we believe it's been in the same family ownership ever since. It's been meticulously looked after. It's recently had the gearbox, engine, and running gear inspected, which is what the vendor tells us. It's got an MOT until October 2026. And again, it's very well put together, done up in this red cross with the olive drab paint screen, excuse me, paint scheme. And it is, overall, if you want something that you can take to the historic shows that go on for military vehicles, and you want something that's bob on right, looks the piece, and will have the enthusiast staying happy with you, being completely original, this is the one. The engine starts very well. It runs very well. Again, they're agricultural things. I wouldn't expect to be, cruising down the M3 on this, but they're very simple, very fun to drive as well. You can make speeds feel a lot faster than they are. And again, put on a beret, put on some olive drab and get into character. These have been infamous throughout movies. They're iconic, piece of history, and one that could be available to someone for, I think, quite a good price at £17,000 to £18,000. But as always, I'll hand back to Tom and we'll find out.
Thank you very much, Lewis, there. Look at this one, the Willys Jeep there. We go straight in at 10,000, 11. 11's bid at £11,000 now. At 11,000, say 12 if you're coming in here. At £11,000 is the bid at the minute. At 11,000, 11,000. At £11,000 is the bid now at 11. At 11,000, 11,000, 12. At £12,000 with the online bid at 12. Say 12,500 with me. 12,500's bid. At 12,500. At 12,500 is the bid. At 12,500, take 13. At 12,500 is the bid now at 12,500. At 12,000, 12,500, we're bid now at 12,500. At 12,500 is the bid now at 12,500. At £12,500, we are bid. Would anyone like to go 13 on this one here? At £12,500 is the bid at the minute at 12,500. At 12,000, 12,500, we are bid. At 12,500, are we finished and done then at just £12,500? At 12,500. At 12,000, 12,500, last chance in fair warning then this time at £12,500 once. At 12,500 twice. All finished and done then at £12,500. Last chance in fair warning at £12,500. Again, that's provisional at £12,500 to 3012. Moving down the list we go to lot number 117. The next one here is the registration plate F4ERO. Ferrero. There we go. Where are we going to go on this one? Start me off. I've got £200 with me. You're in at 100. I'm in at 2. Say 3 next. At £200 is the bid. At 200, 200. At £200 with my commission interest at the minute. At £200, 300. You're in online. I'm out. At 3 to bid. Say 50 if anyone else wishes to come in here. At £300, we're bid at the minute at 3. At 300, 300. At £300, we are bid now at 3. Say one more 50. At £300 is the bid now at 3. At 300, 300, 300. Are we finished and done then? The last chance in fair warning with the online bid here. At £300, we'll count it down. Make no mistake. At £300 once. At 300 twice. All finished, all done at £300 with the online bid then at 300. Your bid online, 300. £300. Online bidder there. Moving down the list we go to lot number 118 here. Triumph Spitfire. It's the Mark IV Spitfire. This one, no reserve in today's sale. Look at the colour on this one. Looks great indeed. Online, you're opening it up at 250. I've got 500. £500 my bid. Say 750 next. 750 you're in. I've got £1,000. 1,000 bid. At 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. With my commission interest at the minute at £1,000 in the market to be sold today. I'll tell you what, we're going hundreds from this point. At £1,000 is the bid. Would anyone like 11? 1,100. I've seen it with the gentleman put their hand up at the same time as you online. Just go 12 for me if you will. 1,100. We're in the room. 12's bid online. At £1,200 is the bid now. 12. 13? 1,300. Gentleman's bid now at 1,300. At 1,300, 1,300 on the Spitfire here. At 1,300, 1,300. Anyone like to go 14? Gentleman's bid in the room. At £1,300 is the bid now at 13. At 1,300, 1,300. Are we finished and done? At just £1,300 is going to be sold. At 1,300, 1,300. Last chance in fair warning. We'll count it down then. Gentleman's bid here. At 1,300 once. At 1,300 the bid then twice. Last chance. And fair warning. And we sell with the gentleman in the room then at £1,300. Your bid, sir. 334. 334. £1,300. Thank you very much. Moving on to lot number 119 then. Look at this one here. We're going Italian job on this one. It's the 1930, the Rover Mini there. Look at this one. Rare left-hand drive, Italian job, special edition then. Where are we going to go? Starting off with my commission interest, I got several bids. £3,000 seems reasonable to start at 3's bid. At £3,000. At 3,000, 3,000. We'll say 3,2 next if anyone wishes to bid. At £3,000. At 3,000, 3,000 is the bid with me on the book at the minute. At £3,000 is the bid. At 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. Say 3,2. At £3,000 is the bid now at 3. Lovely little mini this is. At just £3,000. At 3's the bid. At 3,002, 3,4, 3,6 is my bid. At 3,006. At 3,000, 3,006 is the bid now. At £3,600 we are bid. At 3,000, 3,006. 3,8 you're back in. Thank you online. My commission interest is out now. It's with the online bid at 3,008. At 3,000, 3,800 pounds is the bid now at 3,008. Would anyone like to go for? Lovely little mini this is. At just 3,800 pounds is the bid. At 3,008. At 3,000, 3,800, we are bid now at 3,008. Last chance in fair warning this time and away then. At 3,000, 3,008. With you online at £3,800. We're going to count it down. At 3,000, 3,800 is the bid then once. At 3,800, the bid then twice. All finished and done at £3,800 with the online bid here at 3,800. That's your bid online, £3,800 to 3012. Moving on to lot number 120. Next one here is this lovely little Lambretta. Nice little scooter this one is. Vintage classic. These things look absolutely great. They do. When they're all done up, they look absolutely amazing. This one to be sold today with no reserve as well. I do have a commission bid. I'm going to start it off with me at £500, and we'll say 600 next. At 5 is bid. Say 600 if you're coming in. At £500 on the scooter here. At 500, 500 must be sold today. At £500 is the bid now at 5. At 500, 500 is the bid. At 500, 6 is bid. 700, 800 is my bid though. At £800 needs to see 9 next. At £800 is the bid with me on the book. At 800, anyone for 9. At £800 is the bid now at 800. It's gonna sell today, so the hammer's up. 850, 900. 900's bid. 50, 950. £1,000 is bid. Shakes the head. At £1,000. At £1,000 is the bid now at 1,000. We'll stay in the 50s if anyone else wants to come in. At £1,000 is bid. At 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. Say one more 50. Last chance in fair warning, or I sell this time. One more. 1,050. You'll be glad to know you're in. At 1,050's bid. At 1,050 now. My commission interest is out. Would anyone like 1,100? If not, I sell. This time in a way. At £1,050. Once, twice. Finished and done, then it goes at £1,050. Oh, 1,100. 1,100. Sorry, I nearly missed you, sir. 1,100 is your bid. At 1,100 is the bid now at 11. Shakes the head. Your turn, sir. 1,100 once. At 1,100 twice. Sold. 1,100. 303. Thank you. Moving down the list we go to lot number 121. Have a good look. Number 121, 2003 in the year, Aston Martin DB7 Vantage Volante. Look at that. Automatic. What a car this is. What a machine. For such little money they're worth these days as well. You're in at 2, 2.5. I had 3. You've gone 3.5. 4,000. We'll say 5,000 next if anyone wants to bid. At £4,000 we start. At 4,005. 5's bid now at £5,000 on the Aston here. At £5,000. We'll go in 500s and have some fun. 5,500. 6,000. £6,000 is bid. Say 6.5 if anyone wishes to come in. At £6,000 is the bid at the minute. At 6,000, 6,000, 6,000. Where to? 6.5 bid. 6,005. Before you online, gentleman's bid. Thank you, I've got you now. At £6,500. 7? 7 at the back. 5? 7, 5. Would you like 8, sir? 8's bid. 8.5. Shakes the head. At 8,005. I'll take quarters from this point. It's in the market to be sold today. Gentleman's bid here at £8,500. I'll take 8,750 if anyone else wishes to come in. At 8,005. At 8,000, 8,500 is the bid now at 8,005. Are we finished and done? Last chance in fair warning. I'm going to sell 8,750's just come in. 8,750. 9,000. Thank you, sir. Gentleman's bid at £9,000. At 9,000, 9,000, 9,000. It's in the market online. Going to have to hurry you. At £9,000. Got to be fair to the gentleman here. At £9,000. Take 250 for one more, but the hammer's up. At £9,000 is the bid now at 9. Are we finished and done? Last chance in fair warning. I'm selling this time once at £9,000, twice. Finished and done then at £9,000. It sells. Your bid, sir. Thank you very much. £9,000. What was your paddle number there? Is that 328? 328. Thank you very much, sir. 328. That is yours. £9,000. Moving on down the list we go. Lot number 122, 1943 is the Willys MB. It's the long wheelbase Jeep this time. Long wheelbase one in the Desert Storm color there. Look at that one. Lovely indeed. We're going to go straight in with my commission interest at £8,000. At 8,000 we start here. At 8,000, £8,000 is the bid now at 8. At 8,000, 8,000, 8,000. At £8,000 is the bid now at 8. Say 8.5 if you wish to go again. 8.5, 9,000 bid. At 9,000, we'll say 9.5 if you wish to go again. At £9,000 with the online bid at the minute. At 9,000, 9,000, 9,000. Say 500 for one more. At £9,000 is the bid now at 9. At 9,000, 9,000, 9,000. Are we finished and done then with the online bidder here? At £9,000. At 9,000, 9,000, 9,000. At £9,000, we're bid now at 9. Last chance in fair warning then, finished and done. At £9,000 once. At £9,000 twice. at £9,000. The bid is yours online at £9,739 was at £9,000 provisional. Moving down the list we go, 123, another registration in today's sale. This one is P4XED. There we go, nice little number plate. This one is, I'm straight in at £200 at 2's bid. Say 3 next. At £200 is the bid now at 2. At 200, 203. 3's bid. £300 now at 300 with the online bid. At 300, 300. At £300 we're bid now at 3. Would anyone like to go forward? The bid's here online. At £300 is the bid now at 3. I'll take 50 if you're nice and quick anywhere else. If the underbidder wants to come back in for one more, at 3's the bid. At 300, 300, all finished, all done. Last chance in fair warning then. At £300, make no mistake, finished and done at 300. We'll see what we can do for you online bidder. Same as the last as well, £300. Moving on to lot number 124 in today's sale, 1972. It's the Alfa Romeo 2000 Willys Spider. And what can you tell us about this, Lewis?
Thank you very much, Tom. And I got to admit, this is probably one of my favorite cars here. Alfa Romeo Spider. It is so charming. I mean, this design was so iconic. It kept going for over 30 years. It is quintessentially Italian, inside and out. Yeah, it has its eccentricities, like the gear knob that sticks out at a funny angle. But having taken this out to drive for one of our short form videos, it was actually a complete delight. And I think the Series 2 is actually the better one to have. You've got the camtail at the back, but most importantly, up there at the front, you've got the brilliant 2-litre twin-cam engine. This thing is so lovely to drive. Top down, have your hair out, and also it grabs a lot of attention. Like I said, when we were trying to do that video, I had people coming up. I had to fight to get back out because everyone was coming out going, what is that? It looks fantastic. And this one, a very nicely sorted example, believed to be a UK-supplied Alfa Romeo from new. It has an older restoration, believed to be about 1999, with some photographs of that. The paintwork presents very well. The interior is absolutely lovely. And unusually for one of these, it's got the Melba wheels on it, which were imported from Italy. And I think normally I'm very much a fan of keeping original wheels on cars, but with the little red center caps and the way it's been painted, I think it just fits it so nicely. And again, with the camtail, you get that little bit more boot space, a little bit more practicality, and it is just a gorgeous car. I mean, when it comes to classics, it, again, quintessentially Italian. If a Fiat 500 was your spaghetti bolognese, this is your Arrabbiata. It's a little bit spicier, but if you like it a little bit spicier, I think you'll enjoy it very, very much. Anyway, back to you, Tom.
It's definitely stylish and it's definitely Italian. Have a good look there. We're going to go straight in. I'm going to go straight in at 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, £8,000. I start with my commission interest at the minute. At £8,000, say 8.5 next. At 8,000, 8,000 on the Veloce here. At £8,000. At 8,000, 8,000 coming in for the 5 with my commission interest at the minute. Just £8,000 is bid. At 8,000, 8,000, I'm going to take their bid, 8.5, 9 back to me, say 5 again. At £9,000 is bid. At 9,000, 9,000, 9,000. 9.5 telephones in, 10's my bid at £10,000. Telephones are online, next bid at £10,000. 10.5, I'm out, you're in. Thank you, telephone bidder. At 10,005. On the telephones now. Would anyone like to come in for 11? At 10,500 with the telephone bid. At 10,005. At 10,000, 10,500 is the bid now at 10,005. Anyone for 11? At 10,500 here. 11's bid now. New bidder in Dorset. Welcome to you at £11,000. The bid is with you at £11,000. At 11,000, 11,000. At £11,000 is the bid now at 11. Would anyone like another 5? Shakes the head on the telephone already. The online bid here at £11,000. At 11,000, 11,000. At £11,000 is the bid now at 11. I'll tell you what, I'll take 250 if anyone else wants to jump in for a small bite. At £11,000, the bid is with you online at the minute. At 11,000, 11,000. Are we finished and done at just £11,000? Make no mistake. At £11,000 once. At £11,000 twice. All finished, all done. £11,000 with you online then at £11,000. Provisionally online at £11,000. That is a provisional bid to bidder number 13260. Moving down the list, we go to lot number 125. Lot 125 is this 1998. It's the Porsche Boxster there. Nice little Porsche Boxster. This is low mileage example. Where are we going to go? Start me off. Ooh. 2.5, £3,000 with my commission interest at £3,000 is bid. At 3,000, 3,000 bid. Say 3-2 next. At £3,000. At £3,000 is the bid now at 3,000. 3-2, you're in. At 3,002. At 3,002 is the bid now with you online. At 3,200 is the bid. For a Porsche Boxster at just 3,002. At 3,200 is the bid now at 3,002. At 3,000, 3,002, are we finishing done? Last chance in fair warning then. 3-3, 3-4, thanking you. Say 3-5 next. At 3,005, new bidder. My interest is out. You're in online. At 3,005. Currently in Derbyshire at 3,005. Say 3-6, 3-6, you're back in. Thank you very much. Somerset bidder, welcome to you at 3,006. At 3,000, 3,006 is the bid now at 3,006. Say 3-7 for one more. At 3,000, 3,006. Would you like to go again, underbidder? At 3,006. At 3,000, 3,600, are we finishing done online? At 3,006, last chance in fair warning if you wish to go again. At £3,600, we are bid. At 3,006. At 3,000, 3,600. We'll count it down then. 3-7, no need. 3-7, thank you online. New bidder entirely at 3,700, making an entrance is your bid. At 3,007. At 3,000, 3,700, underbidder, would you like to go 3-8? At 3,007, are we finished? Are we done? At 3,000, 3,700, last chance in fair warning this time, and away it goes. At 3,007. At 3,700, the bid then once. At 3,700, the bid then twice. All finished and done. £3,700. Provisionally with you online at 3,700. That is a provisional bid. Moving on to lot number 126. Lot number 126, 2017 Chevrolet Camaro. This one has got the monstrous 6.2-litre V8 50th anniversary edition. Absolutely looks impeccable there as well. What a machine this is. Going to go straight in at 10, 11, 12, 13, £14,000 we start. At 14,000, 14,000. At £14,000 on the Camaro here, at just £14,000. Say 15 for one more. At 14,000, 14,000. At 14,000, 14's bid. 15, you're in. At 15,000 now with the online bid. At £15,000, the bid is here online. At 15,000, 15,000. Say 16 next. At £15,000 is the bid now at 15. All right, 15.5 if you're coming back here. At £15,000. Say 500 for one more. You're thinking about it at home. At £15,000 is the bid at 15.5. New bidder there. At 15,005. Welcome to you in South Shields. At 15,005. At 15,005 is the bid now at 15,005. On the Camaro this time here at 15,005. Anyone for 16? At £15,500. The bid is with you at the minute. At 15,005. At 15,500 we're bid. At 15.5, 15.5, say 16 for one more. 16 back in, new bidder again, Derbyshire, realizing how much of a bargain this is. At 16,000, the bid is with you. At 16,000, say 5 for one more. At 16,000, 16,000. At £16,000 is the bid at the minute with you in Derbyshire. At £16,000, underbidder, would you like to go again? At 16,000, 16,000. At 16,000, 16,000. We finished and done then. Last chance in fair warning, 16.5 back in. Thanking you. Self Shields bidder now at 16,005. At 16.5, 16.5. Derbyshire, 17. Thanking you again. At 17,000 is the bid. At 17,000, 17,000. Say 5 for one more. At £17,000 is the bid. At 17,000, 17,000. What a machine here at just £17,000. Would you like to go again? At 17,000, we'll count it down then. At 17.5, thanking you again. At 17,005. At 17.5, 17.5, coming back in for the 18 now. At 17,005, are you finished and done online? 18, you're not. At 18,000, thanking you there. Derbyshire bidder, you're back in the hot seat now at £18,000. At 18,000, 18,000, coming in for a 5. At 18,000, 18.5 you do. Thanking you there. At 18.5 and 19 there. Fast bidding that time. At £19,000, your bid in Derbyshire. At 19,000, 19,000. South Shields, would you like to go again? At 19,000 is the bid. At 19,000, 19,000. Are you finished and done? Last chance in fair warning then. At just £19,000, we'll count it down. At 19,000, 19,000 the bid. Once. At 19,000, 19,500. Thank you again. 20's bid now at £20,000. It goes on. At 20,000, 20,000. At 20,000 is the bid now at 20. At £20,000, we are bid. Would anyone like to come in for another one? At £20,000, Derbyshire, you're in the lead. At £20,000, we go once. We go twice. All finished and done then. Last chance in fair warning online at £20,000. That is provisionally online. We might be able to get a deal over the line for you on that one. £20,000. Good bidding there. 19,740. That is yours. Moving down the list, we go to lot number 127 this time, 2002 in the year. Lot number 127 is the Mercedes-Benz. It's the SL55 AMG there. Nice little AMG Mercedes. This is yours straight in online. 5. I'm going to go 6. £6,000 with my bid. There's £6,000 with my interest at the minute. There's 6,000, 6,000. Lot number 127 there. Have a good look at this one. That's £6,000 at the minute. That's 6,000, say 6,500. That's £6,000 is the bid. At 6,000, 6,000, 6,000, 6,500, you're in. At 6,005, 7's your bid. I'm going to have to go 7,500 to me. At 7,005, either one of you online. 8,000's next. At 7,005, we're bid. At 7,005 and 8's bid now at £8,000, 8,500. My commission interest is out. It's all online. At 8,005. At 8,500, we're bid. At 8,000, 8,005 is the bid now at 8,005. Would anyone like to go 9? At 8,500 is the bid at the minute. At 8,005, are you finished and done online bidders? At 8,005. At 8,005, 9. Thanking you. At £9,000 back in. At 9,000, 9,000, say 5 for one more. At £9,000 seems cheap to me. At just £9,000. At 9,000, 9,000, 9,000, are we finished and done? At 9,000, I'll tell you what, we'll take 9,500. Thank you. No need. 9,005. We'll go in the quarters now anyway. 9,750 if you want to come back in. At 9,005 with the online bid here. I think there's about 3 of you online. At 9,005. Who wants to go again? At 9,500, we are bid. At 9,000, 9,005. Are we finished and done then? Last chance in fair warning, this time and away. At 9,500, the bid is here online. At 9,500 once. 9,750 back in. Thank you. At 9,750, it moves on. At 9,750, make it 10 if you're coming back in. At 9,750 is the bid. At 9,000, 9,750 pounds, the bid is here online at 9,750. At 9,750, the bid then once. At 9,000, 9,750, the bid then twice. All finished and done. Last chance. Fair warning online at £9,750. The bid is yours. Online bidder, 9,750. Moving down the list, we go to lot number 128, 2001 in the year. The Jaguar X-Type there. Nice little X-Type Jag. V6 this one is. No reserve again in today's set. I've got nothing on my book. There's nothing online. Anyone interested? Start me off then. £500 to go. Surely 5 to come in. Anyone interested for £500? What about 250 then? Kick it off to... Oh, hang on a minute. Online says yes, please. 500. We'll say 6 next. Eastbourne bidder at £500. Say 600 if anyone wishes to come in. At 500 is the bid now at 5. Online bid, stealing it away at the minute. Maiden bid with you online at £500. At 500, 500. Would anyone like to go 6? At 500, 506 you do. Thank you, Buckinghamshire. At 607. At £700 is the bid now at 7. At 700, 700. Would anyone like to go 8? At £700, the bid is with you at 708. Thank you for coming back in. £800 is the bid. At 800, 800 for a Jaguar. At £800. At 800, 800. I'll take 50 if it really helps you out. No need. 900's back in. At £900. Go 50, one more. Make it nice and quick. I'll put the hammer up. No reserve. Must be sold today. So make your bids nice and quick online. The bid's at 900. I'll take 50 if you want to come back in. At 900 once. At 900 twice. And we sell this time and away at £900. Finished and done. Sold at 900. And that is to 19748. And when we get those provisional bids put through, ladies and gentlemen, lot number 104 has now sold. Lot number 129, 2000 in a year, BMW Alpina, it's the B10 Alpina. Look at that, lovely one there in the midnight blue as well. Looks absolutely cracking car, this one does. You're straight in at 2. I got 2005, say 3 next. At 2005, 3, you're in. 3,000, say 3, 2's my bid. I need to see 3, 4 next if we can. At 3,002 with me. At 3,002, my bid. Just flip that around one, press that room button. There we go. 3, 2, 3, 4. You're in online. I'm out. You're in. At 3,004 with the online bid. At 3,004. At 3,400 is the bid now. At 3,004 here. Say 3,600 if anyone else wishes to bid. 3,006 you do. Thank you, online bidders. At 3,006. At 3,600 is the bid now. 3,006. Say 3,800 for one more if you're coming back in. At 3,006. At 3,000, 3,006 is the bid now. At 3,006, are we finishing done? I'll tell you what, I'll take 3,700. I shouldn't need to. Little money here at just 3,006. At 3,000, 3,006 is the bid now. At 3,006. Anyone for 3,700? At 3,006, are we finishing done then? Last chance in fair warning then. At £3,600, we're going to have to count it down. At 3,006. 3,700, thank you, online. Somerset bidders with you at 3,007. At 3,007 is the bid now. At 3,007, underbidder, would you like to go 3,800? At 3,007 is the bid. At 3,000, 3,007. I'll take 3,800 now. At 3,700, last chance in fair warning this time and away then. At 3,700 once, 3,700 twice, all finished, all done. £3,700. Your bid online, 19532, 19532, 3,700 provisional bid. Moving on to lot number 130. Lot number 130 is the 2014. It's the Tiger Lotus Evocation there. Look at that one there. The old Lotus 6 there, Evocation. Looks great indeed. Vintage style racer. Great little conversion this one is. I got interest. You're in at 5, 5.5, £6,000 we start. At £6,000, say 6,500 next. At £6,000. Cool little car this is. At just £6,000 is the bid now at 6. At 6,000, 6,000, 6,000. At £6,000 is the bid now at 6. At 6,000, 6,000, 6,000. Say 500 for one more. At £6,000 is the bid now at 6. 6,005. Thank you very much. At 6,005 is the bid now at 6,005. At 6,000, 6,005 were bids. Say 7 for one more. At 6,500, are we finishing done here? Surely not. At just 6,005. At 6,000, 6,005 is the bid. I'll take the quarter now. 6,750. Thank you. At 6,750 is bid. Say 7 for one more. At 6,750 is the bid now. At 6,750. At 6,750, are we all finishing done? At 6,750, take 7 for one more. Is your last chance in fair warning this time and away then. At 6,750 once, twice. Finishing done then at £6,750. That's provisional then at £6,750. Moving down the list we go. Lot number 131. I absolutely love this one. So much charming character to this. It's the 1970. It's the Morgan 44. Incredible mileage on this one. Same family ownership. What else have we got on this one? A credible 13,000 miles, although not warranted, with the original 2 previous owners, a buff logbook as well, long-term ownership there. Where are we going to go? Start me off. Anyone interested to start me off today on this one? Who's got £2,000? Surely. 2,000, 2's bid, thank you. At 2,000 straight in, say 2,500 next. At £2,000 is the bid now at 2. At £2,000, we are bid here at 2. Say 2.5 if you're coming in. At £2,000. Gentleman's bid, 2,005's in. At 2,005, would you like 3? 3's bid, thank you very much. At £3,000, say 5 for one more online if you're coming back in. 3,500 you do. At 3,005, would you like 4? Take the quarter, I will. 3,750, thank you, sir. Oh, just undo that one, Molly. It's 3,750 it was. Took the quarter bid. 3,750, gentleman's bid at 3,750 were bid. Take 4. At 3,750, 4's bid now. 4,250, thank you. At 4,250 is the bid now at 4,250. Say 4,500 if you're coming back in online. Gentleman's bid here. 4,500 they do. At 4,500. Would you like another quarter? 4,005. I'll take 4,600. I'll help you out. You've come this far. 4,600. Thank you. At 4,006. At 4,006. Gentleman's bid here at 4,006. Make it 4,700 if you're coming back in online. At 4,006 is the bid now at 4,006. Are we finished and done? 4,700. We're not. They're back in. New bidder this time in the West Midlands at 4,007. At 4,007. 4,800. 4,800. Thank you. Gentleman's back in. At 4,008. Thank you very much. At 4,008. We're on sale all the way. It's in the market. It's going to go at £4,800. Gentleman's bid. Hammers up at 4,008. At 4,008. 4,900. They're back in. At 4,009. It's going to be sold today in the market. Online bid at the moment at 4,009. 5? 5's back in. Gentleman's bid at £5,000. At 5,000. 5,000. At £5,000 is the bid now at 5,000. Make it nice and quick if you're coming back in online. Don't miss out now. At £5,000, hammer is up. At 5,000, we'll count it down then. 5,001. Thanking you. West Midlands bidders back in at 5,001. At 5,001. With the online bid here. At 5,001. Would you like one more? 5,200? 5,200's back in. Gentleman's bid. At 5,002. At 5,000, 5,200, we're bid now at 5,002. Are we finished? Are we done? At 5,200, it goes once, 5,300, 5,400, two bidders, 5,004. Somerset, you're in at 5,004. At 5,004, with the online bid here at 5,004. Anyone for 5,500? At 5,004. At 5,400, are we finished and done? I'm going to put the hammer up and count you down. The bid is here online and selling 5,500. Thank you again. At 5,005. At 5,000, 5,005, we're bid. At 5,005, say 5,600 for one more. Thinking about it. At 5,500, hammer is up. 5,600 back in. Somerset's in the lead at £5,600. At 5,006. At 5,000, 5,006 is your bid now at 5,006. Say 5,700 if you wish to bid again. At 5,006, the last chance in fair warning. Hammer's up once. 5,700. Every time the hammer goes up. At £5,700, I might as well leave it up. At 5,007. At 5,007, would you like to go again online? Coming in for one more. Don't miss out now. Once, twice. Finished and done. 5,008. 5,008's bid. At 5,800 a bid now. 5,008 is your bid online. I'll tell you what, Somerset, you're in at 5,008, coming in for 5,900. Make it nice and quick for one more. At 5,800, it goes once, it goes twice, and we sell this time in a way. Online has it at £5,800. Sold at 5,008. Thank you very much. Online bidders there, £5,800 to 19,499. Lovely little car that was. Moving on to lot number 132, 1963 in the year. It's the Triumph. It's the TR3B. It's a very rare right-hand drive TR3B. And Lewis is going to tell you all about this one.
Thank you very much, Tom. Now, you're probably looking at the listing and thinking, 1963? I thought they only made the TR3B through 1962. And from the factory, you'd be correct. But Triumph did a number of parts cars that were then shipped to other places to be assembled. And this is one of those cars. Obviously, as the story goes with the TR3B, Triumph were worried that the TR4 wouldn't do well in markets, particularly like America. So they kept making the TR3 in this specification so dealerships could stock up and keep selling them. And because of that, a lot of the TR3Bs are left-hand drive, but this one is a rare exception, right-hand drive, believed to be assembled in Durban in South Africa. It's got that lovely blue metallic paint on it, which shows a bit of its age in some places. But again, the shimmer that you get off it looks absolutely gorgeous. It's got the 4-speed synchro-mesh manual gearbox with overdrive. It's believed to have an original TR3 engine number with a 2.2-litre engine. And again, it's just a cracking-looking car and a very hard-to-find late right-hand drive example of one of these.
Right then, let's go. Sorry.
But again, looking over it, it is just a lovely car, very hard to get. An example as late as this, one definitely to pick up and do a little bits to it and very much enjoy. But to find out how much it's worth, I'll hand back to you, Tom.
I was a bit too eager to get on with this one then. Love it indeed. The colour looks great indeed. We're going to go straight in at £5,000, 5,500, 6,000. 6 is bid. At £6,000, say 6,500 if you're coming in. At £6,000, we start here. The Triumph TR3B. At £6,000 is the bid now at 6. Say 6.5 if anyone wishes to have a go. At £6,000. My interest at the minute. At £6,000 is the bid now at 6. At 6,000, 6,005. 7 back to me. At £7,000. At 7,000, 7,000, 7,000. At £7,000 is the bid now at 7. At 7,000, 7,000. I'll take the 250s from this point. One more. At £7,000 is the bid now at 7. At 7,000, 7,000. Would anyone like to go again? At £7,000 is the bid now at 7. At 7,000, 7,000. Are we all finished and done then? Last chance in fair warning. At £7,000. At 7,000, 7,000. Last chance in fair warning. At just £7,000 once. 7.25 bid. Thank you, sir. Amount, you're in. At £7,250 is the bid now at 7,250. Online or anywhere else, would you like to go again? Gentleman's bid now at 7,250 is the bid. At 7,250, 7,250. At 7,250 is the bid now at 7,250. Are we finished and done? Last chance in fair warning then at £7,250 once, twice. Finished and done then at 7,250. Provisionally with you, sir. 7,250, 338. Thank you. Moving down the list, we go to lot number 133, a registration plate this time, and it is 595DMU. There we go. Nice little number plate again. Where are we going to go? Start me off on this one. Anyone interested to start me off for a couple of £100, surely? £200 to start. Needs to see 200 today. Anyone interested? Two's bid online. You're in. Two's bid. At £200. Say 3 next. At 2's the bid with the online bid here at £200. At 2 is bid. At £200 is the bid now at 2. Are we finished and done then? On the number plate here. At 200, 200, 200. Last chance in fair warning. Finished and done at £200. Provisionally with you online at £200. We will see what we can do for you. Online bidder. Moving down the list, we go to lot number 134, 1998 in the year, BMW Z3 Roadster. Look at that one there. Lovely little Roadster. Fun, great cars these are. Probably one of my favorite little sports cars. We're going to go straight in at £2,000. £2,000 here. On the Z3 at just £2,000. We're going quarters if we can. At £2,000 is the bid now at 2. At £2,000 is bid. At 2,002, 2.25, 2.5 back to me. At 2,005, bidder in Ireland. Would you like to go again for one more? 2,750, new bidder. 3's my bid though. At £3,000. At 3,000, 3,000, 3,000, it's my bid at 3. At £3,000, say 250 for one more. At £3,000 is the bid now at 3. 3,250. You're back in Ireland, and you'll be glad to know my commission interest is out. Online bid at £3,250. At 3,250, 3,250. At 3,250 is the bid now at 3,250. Anyone for 3,500? At 3,250 is the bid. Are we sure? At £3,250, we're bid now at 3,250. At 3,250 is the bid now 3,250. 3,500. At 3,005. At 3,005 is the bid now at 3,005. Underbidder, would you like to go again? My book bidders are out. It's all online at 3,005. At 3,000, 3,005 is the bid now at 3,005. Are we finished and done? At 3,750 back in. Ireland, you're in. At £3,750 is the bid now at 3,750. At 3,750, next bid's 4 if you wish to go again. At 3,750, 4 you do. Thank you very much online. At £4,000, say 250 for one more. At 4,000, 4,000, 4,000. At £4,000 is the bid now at 4. Are we finished and done here? At 4,000, 4,000, 4,250 we're not. Thank you again. At 4,250 is the bid now at 4,250. At 4,250 is the bid now at 4,250. Would you like to go for 5? At 4,250, are you finished and done? Online bidder, would you like to come back in for one more? At 4,250, the bid then once. 4,500, thanking you very much. Good little battle here. At 4,005. At 4,000, 4,005 is the bid now at 4,005. One more for 750. At 4,005, are you finished and done? Ireland bidder, would you like to go again? Yes, please, they say. For 750, thank you. At 4,750 is your bid. At 4,750 is the bid now at 4,750. At 4,750 is the bid now at 4,750. Would anyone like to go 5? At 4,750 is bid. At 4,750 is the bid now at 4,750. We'll count it down. At 4,750 is the bid then once. At 4,750 is the bid then twice. Last chance in fair warning. The bid's here online at £4,750. That is provisionally with you online. 4,007. We're very close on that one. I wouldn't be surprised if we see it hammered away throughout the course of the sale. 7046. 7046 takes that one for £4,750. Moving down the list we go. Lot number 135, 2011 in the year. Jaguar XFR, the V8 Auto. Another formidable machine in the auction. Have a good look there. It looks absolutely great in the white as well. I'm going to go straight in at £5,000. At just £5,000 there. At 5 is bid. Say 5.5 next if we can. 5, 6,000. 6 is bid. 6,005 if you're coming back in. At £6,000. At 6,000, 6,005. 7's back to me. At £7,000. At 7,000, 7,000 is the bid now at 7. 5 for one more. At £7,000 is the bid now at 7,000. Look at all that car there that you're getting at just £7,000. At 7,000, 7,000 coming in for another 5. At £7,000 is the bid now at 7. Are we finished and done at just £7,000? I'll take the quarters. Shouldn't need to, but we will. At £7,000 is the bid now at 7,000. Who wants the small bike now? At £7,000. At 7,000, 7,000. At £7,000 is the bid now at 7. Are we finished and done then at £7,000? Last chance in fair warning, online or anywhere else. At £7,000, take £250 for one more. Go once at £7,000. Go twice at £7,000. All finished and done then at £7,000. That is provisionally your bid at £7,000. And we will see what we can do for you on that one. 7,000 provisional. Moving down the list we go to lot number 136. 1986 in the year, the Reliance Scimitar. It's the SS1, a no reserve car in today's sale. Have a good look on this one. I've got a commission bid, but I'm going to try and avoid that if I can. Anyone got £500 to start me off? Anyone interested at 5? Surely. Reliance Scimitar, £500 to kick it off today. How about £250 to kick it off then? Who's got £250 to start me off? Thank you very much online. It saves me starting at my £10 bid. 250 is your bid. At 250, I'll say 300 next and we'll run in hundreds on this one. At 250 is the bid with you in Norfolk at the minute. At £250, it's in the market to be sold today. No reserve, it must go. At £250 is the bid. 3's bid. Thanking you. Uxbridge bidder now at £300. At 300, 300. At 300, say 50 for one more. At £300 is the bid now at 3. On the Reliance Scimitar here at £300 the bid. At 300, 300, anyone else for another £100? At 300, 300, are you sure online? At £300. At 300, 300, hammer is up then. At £300, I'll take 50 if they want to come back in nice and quickly. At £300, we'll count you down once. It sells twice. 50's back in. At 350 is the bid. At 350, 350, 350. At £350, your bid now at 350 with you in Norfolk. At 350, your bid. At 350, 350, 350. At 350 and 4 back in. Thanking you there. At £400 is your bid now at 4. At 400, 400 is the bid now at 4. At £400 is the bid now at 400, 400. At 400, 400 is the bid. It's the white Jaguar, if that helps. At 400 is the bid now at 4. Sorry about this online. Many apologies. At £400. There we go. At 400, 400. Last chance in fair warning then. Hammers up. It sells once at £400, twice. All finished. All done with you online at £400. It goes. Sold at 400. Thank you, online bidder. £400 to 19831. Moving on down the list we go. Lot number 137's up next. 1994 in a year. It's the Jaguar XJS. This one's the 4-litre manual. Lovely gentleman sports car indeed. And we're going to go straight in at 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, £6,000 we start. At 6,000's bid. Commission interest here at £6,000. At 6,000, 6,000, 6,005. At 6,005 and 7 back to me at £7,000. At 7,000 is the bid now at 7. At 7,000, 7,000, 7,000. At £7,000, say 5 for one more. Lovely Jaguar this is. At just £7,000 is the bid now at 7. At 7,000, 7,000. We'll take 250s if it helps you out. At £7,000, coming in for the quarter bite. At 7,000 is the bid. At 7,000, 7,000. At £7,000 is the bid now at 7. Would anyone like to come in for the quarter? At £7,000 is bid. At 7,000, 7,000. 7 and a quarter back in. I'm out. You're in online at 7,250. Your bid now at 7,250 is the bid. At 7,250, 7,250. At 7,250, we are bid now at 7,250 with the online bid here. Would anyone else like to come in for 7,500? At 7,250 is the bid now at 7,250. At 7,250, 7,250. At 7,250, we'll count it down then. The bid is here online at 7,250 once. At 7,250, the bid then twice, all finished and done, £7,250. Your bid online bidder at 7,250, 739, I think that was. I just need to double check the number. Yes, it was. Thank you very much. 7,250 provisional. Moving down to lot number 138. This is probably my favorite in the sale. It's the 1985 Ford Escort RS Turbo. Look at that one there. Stunning, stunning. Fast forward this is from the 1980s there. We're going to ask for 10,000 to start me off. Seems cheap to me. 10's bid. Thank you. At £10,000. At 10, we'll say 11 next. At 10,000 is the bid. At £10,000 is the bid now at 10. 11's in. 12. At £12,000. At 12,000, 12,000, 13. 14's my bid. At 14,000 now. At 14,000, 14,500. 14 and a half bid, gentleman's bid. You'll be glad to know my bidders are out. It's between you and online now. At 14,005, 15's bid. 5. 15 and a half. Say 16 again. Gentleman's bid here at 15,005. 16 for one more. At 15,005, we're bid. Make no mistake online if you're coming back in. At 15,005. 16 bid. 16,500. Thank you very much, sir. 16,005. Gentleman's bid. At 16,005. 17 if you're coming back in online. At 16,005. At 16,000, 16,005. Are you sure? Ford Escort, RS Turbo. Have a good look. At 17. Thank you. 5 straight back in. Appreciate it, sir. At 17,005. Gentleman's bid. Fast bidding here at £17,500. Make it 18 if you wish to go again online. At 17,500. At 17,500, 17,500. At 17,500, last chance in fair warning then. Gentleman's 18 bid. 18,500. Thank you again. 18,500 is bid now at 18,500. At 18,500. Online, would you like to go 19 one more? At 18,500. Are we finished and done? At 18,500, last chance in fair warning in 19's bid. At 19, I'll take the quarters if it helps you out. 250, thank you very much, sir. You've been in from the start. 19,250, gentleman's bid. Say 19,500 if you're coming back in online. At 19,250 is the bid now at 19,250. At 19,250, 19,500. Are you sure? At 19,005 is the bid with the online bidder. At 19,005, one more might do it. You never know. At 19,500, 19,750's back in. At 19,750. At 19,750 is the bid now at 19,750. Online, would you like to go for one more? Last chance. Oh, £20,000. They wait for that last chance every time. I'm sure they do online. At £20,000 is here at 20,000, and we are in the market and selling today. At £20,000 is going to go. Would you like one more? Are you sure? Hammers up. The bid is online. At £20,000 once, twice, finished and done and selling now at £20,000. Sold at £20,000. Thank you very much. And thank you, sir, as well for your underbids. £20,000 to online bidder 9930. Moving down the list we go to lot number 139, another one of the lovely Jaguars in today's sale. This one's a 2001 Jaguar XKR 4-litre coupe. We're going to go straight in at £2,000. Say 250 next. We're going quarters. Two's bid. At £2,000 is the bid now at 2. 2 and a quarter's in. 2.5 back to me. At 2005. At 2005 is the bid now at 2005. At 2005, 2,750. Cheshire bidder now at £2,750 is the bid now at 2,750. I'm out. You're in online. At 2,750 is the bid. At 2,750, 2,750. Look at all that car you're getting there. At just 2,750, the bid is with you online. Three's bid. Thank you very much. Underbidder there. At £3,000, you're back in. At three's bid. At 3,000, 3,000. At £3,000 is the bid. Say 250 for one more. At £3,000 is the bid now at 3. At 3,000, 3,000, are we finished? Are we done? At just £3,000, last chance in fair warning, this time and away then. At 3,000 once, twice, finishing done, 3,250. Hampshire bidder, leaving it late there, you're in. At 3,250, the bid is with you. At 3,250, we are bid. At 3,250, 3,250. Underbidder, would you like to go 3,500? At 3,250, are we all done? Are we all dusted? At 3,250 once, twice, finishing done then at £3,250. Provisionally with you online, 3,250, 9,086, I think that was 9,086. Provisional bid, 3,250. Moving down we go to lot number 140 in today's sale. Lot number 140 here, 1994 Bentley Continental, and gleaming away underneath me is the car and Lewis.
Thank you very much, Tom. Now, if you've been following the trends, you'll know that designer brands and flashy, over-the-top modern cars are out, and the trend is old money is in. Your nicely tailored tan suits and cars exactly like this. Lovely Bentley Continental GT. And I don't mean the later one. I don't mean the footballer's car. I mean this elegant, lovely machine that's in front of you. These are arguably part of the cars that saved the Bentley brand back in the 90s. Obviously, beforehand, a lot of the Bentleys were rebadged Rolls-Royces, but if Vickers were going to sell, they needed to prove that Bentley could stand on its own 2 feet. And with this car, they definitely proved it. The story goes that back when this was revealed at the Geneva Motor Show, the Sultan of Brunei was so impressed with the show car that he offered £2 million on the spot. And that's the price that led to the claim to fame. It was the most expensive production car in the world at that time. And again, looking through it, you can see why. The Aurora paintwork glistens lovely. It's elegant. It's not too over the top. It just has presence that you can't get with many cars. And comparatively, not too many of these were made. I'd expect them to hold value quite well because, again, getting hold of a good one like this one, it's had an extensive service history, over 19 stamps. It had a light recommissioning in 2021, only 50,000 miles, and an MOT until halfway through this year. It is a remarkably well-sorted example, a lovely car to drive. And again, it looks like a big car, but when you get in it and you drive around, it is so soft and easy to handle. The ride is exquisite. And if you want to put your foot down, it'll move this palace on wheels, arguably, a lot faster than you'd expect. It's a previous long-term ownership. And again, I would argue it is great value, something to hold on to, or something to be seen in. It will turn a lot more heads than more expensive cars at £31,000 to £33,000. But I will hand back to Tom and we'll see what happens.
Right, it is a lovely car. I love it indeed. Look at it there, gleaming away. You've gone straight in online at 10. I've gone 12, 14, 16, 18, £20,000. Say 2 next if anyone wishes to come in. We start at £20,000 with my commission interest here. At £20,000 is the bid now at 20. At 20,000, 20,000, say 2 for one more. At £20,000 is the bid. I'll tell you what, I'll take 21 if it helps you out. At 20,000 is the bid. 21. 22's my bid. At 22,000 now. At 22, 22. At 22,000 is the bid now at £22,000. At 22, 22. Say 23 for one more. 23, you're in. I've got 24. At £24,000. Say 5 if you're going again. At £24,000 is the bid. One more might do it online. At 24, 24. At £24,000 is the bid now at 24. 1994 Bentley Continental R at £24,000. We'll take the 500s from this point if it helps you out. At 24,000 is the bid. 24.5 you're in. I'm out online. Online bid at £24,500. At 24,005. At 24,005 with the online bidder here at £24,500. 25's bid, thank you. At 25, say 5 again. At £25,000 is the bid now at 25. At 25, 25. At 25,000 is bid at 25. Are we finishing done? Would you like to go again online for one more? At just 25,000 is the bid now at 25. At 25, 25. At £25,000 we are bid. At 25,000 are we finished? Are we done? Last chance in fair warning this time and away. At £25,000 we will count it down. At 25,000 the bid then once. At £25,000 the bid then twice. All finished, all done. £25,000. We'll see what we can do for you. £25,000 there provisionally. Moving down the list, we go to lot number 141, another registration in today's auction, 948JUY. There we go. Start me off. Anyone interested for £250 to start here? 250 to kick it off today. Surely got to be £250, hasn't it? Go to 200 then. Won't go any lower. 200 to start me off. Two's bid. Say 3 next. At £200 with the online bid here. At 200, 200 is bid. At £200 is the bid now at 2. At 200, 200, 200. At £200 we are bid. Say 3 for one more. At £200 we finish and done. We will submit the bid to the vendor. At £200 once, twice. Finish and done with you online at £200. Provisionally with you online bidder. £200 provisional. Moving down the list, we go to lot number 142. 1952 is the Willys M38 Jeep Classic, the World War II Jeep. This one there looks absolutely great indeed. Very practical, diesel-powered machine. This is, I'm going to go straight in, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4. £4,000 we start. At £4,000 is the bid now at 4. At 4,000, 4,000, 4,000. At £4,000 is the bid now at 4,000. Say 4, 4.5 if you're coming in. We'll go in 500s, Molly. £4,000 is bid. 4,500 you're in. At 4.5, 5. £5,000. At 5,000, 5,000 is the bid now at 5. At £5,000 is the bid here at 5. Say 5.5 if you're coming back in. 5.5 you do. I'm out now. Your bid online. At 5,005. At 5,500 with the online bid here. At 5,005, we'll take 5,750 if it brings anyone else into play. At 5,005, my commission interest is out. The bid is online at 5,005. At 5,000, 5,005, are we finished and done then? Last chance in fair warning. At 5,500 once. At 5,500 twice. Finished and done then at £5,500. That's your bid, online bidder, £5,500. That is provisionally with you, online bidder. Moving on down, we go to lot number 143, 1994, the Rover Mini Sprite. Look at this one. Charming little character on this one. Love these little minis. Who's got £2,500 to start me off, surely? 2,500. Anyone coming in for £2,500 to kick it off today? 2,005, thank you. At 2,005 is bid. At 2,005. At 2,005, we are bid now at 2,005. At 2,000, 2,500 on the Mini this time and away. At 2,005 and 3's bid. At £3,000, we're going quarters. 3,250 is my bid. At 3,250, we're bid. At 3,250, 3,250. At £3,250 is the bid now at 3,250. At 3,250, 3,250, 3,500, you're back in. At 3,005, 3,750 and £4,000 my bid. I need to see 4,250 if you wish to go again. At £4,000. At 4,000, 4,000, 4,000. At £4,000 is the bid now at 4. Say 250 for one more if you're coming back in. At just £4,000, it goes once. 4,250, you're in online and I'm out. At £4,000, at 4,250 with the online bid. At 4,250, 4,250. At 4,250, we are bid. Last chance in fair warning. We'll submit the bid then with you online. At 4,250, the bid then once, twice. Finishing done. £4,250. That is your bid. Thank you very much. At £4,250, your bid. Moving down the list we go to lot number 144. Another Mini in today's sale is the 2011. It's the Mini Club on the newer Mini. These are. It's the Cooper D there. Hampton low owner as well. Look at that one. Gorgeous looking car this is. I'm straight in at just £2,000. At 2,000's bid. At £2,000 is the bid now at 2. At 2,000 we start. At £2,000. At 2,2. 2,4, 2,4, 2,6, 2,8, 2,8's bid at £2,800 now. At 2,008 is the bid now at 2,008. At 2,800 we're bid now at 2,008. Make it 2,9 if you're coming in. At 2,008 is the bid now at 2,008. Are we finishing done on the clubman here? At just £2,800. At 2,008, I'll take 2,9 from anywhere else. At 2,008, you're thinking about it online. Make it in for one more. At 2,008, 2,9 is bid online. Yep. At 2,009 and in the market to be sold today, ladies and gentlemen. Make no mistake, hammers up. We're selling at 2,009. At 2,900 is the bid now at 2,009. Are we finished and done? At 2,900 once. At 2,900 twice. And I sell with the online bid and away it goes at £2,900. Sold at 2009. And that was to online bidder 18958. We are moving on to lot number 145. Lot number 145, 2002 in the year, Mercedes-Benz SLK 230 compressor, another no reserve car. I'm going to ask for £500. Anyone interested here on the compressor here? £500 to start me off, surely. No reserve today, must go. 5's bid, that beats my interest. We'll go 600 next. At 500 is the bid now at 5. At £500, we start with the online bid. At 500, 500. At £500, it's in the market to be sold today. It will be sold, so make no mistake. I'll take 600 from anyone else. At 500, we are bid. At £500 is the bid now at 5. Are we finished and done? Make no mistake. Last chance in fair warning. I'll tell you what, I'll take 550. I shouldn't need to, but we will. At £500, I'll take 50 if anyone else wants to come in. If not, hammers up and we're selling 550. 600. One more 50. You're thinking about it online. The bid is with you in Buckinghamshire at the minute. At £600 the bid, then once. At 600 the bid, then twice. We sell this time in a way it goes at £600. 50 just in time. At 650 is the bid now at 650. At 650 is bid. A second later, you might have missed out then online. At 650, it's with you in Cheshire. Make no mistake, we're selling. At £650, the bid then once, twice, hammers up, and away it sells at £650. Sold at 650. Moving down the list we go to lot number 146. 2000 is the year, and it's the Ford Puma, the 1.7, 16. We go well-maintained, modern, a classic with low mileage on this one as well. Don't see many of these on the roads anymore, do you? The Ford Puma there. Have a good look there. Credible, 33,000 miles. That is it. There we go. Start me off on this one. I'm straight in at £1,000. 1,200. I'll say 1,400 next. 1,200 is my bid. At £1,200, say 14 if you're coming in. At £1,200 on the Puma here. At 1,200, 1,200. 14's bid. You're in online at 1,400. My bidders are out already. At 1,400, say 16 anywhere else. At 1,400 is bid. At 1,400, 1,400. At £1,400 is the bid now at 14. Would anyone like to go 16 on this one? Nice little Puma this is. At just 1,400, we will submit the bid today. At 1,400, 1,400. Say 16 if you're coming in. There's a few of you thinking about it online. It's now or never. At £1,400. At 1,400, 1,400. All finished and done. Last chance. Fair warning then. At 1,400 once, twice. 16's in just in time. At 1,600. Tell you what, we'll take 17. We'll go to the nearest £100 on this one. We'll see where it's worth. At 1,600 is bid. At 1,600, 1,600. Take 17 if anyone wishes to come back in for one more. At 1,600, we will submit the bid today, so make no mistake on this one. At £1,600 is bid. Are we finished? Are we done? Underbidder, would you like to go again for one more? If not, £1,600 once, twice. Finished and done then, £1,600. The bid is with you online at £1,600. We will get in touch with the vendor and with yourself and be in touch very soon. That is a provisional bid at £1,600. Moving down, we go to lot number 147. Lot number 147, 1979 in the year. The Jaguar XJ6, the 4.2 Auto. Have a good look at this one. Stunning little classic car. This is 1979. And we're going to go straight in. £2,500, £3,000 we start. At £3,000 is the bid. Say 3,500 next. At £3,000 is the bid now at 3. At 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. Say 5 for one more. At £3,000 is the bid now at 3,000, 3,500 you're in. I'll take the quarters now. My interest is out. At 3,005. Say 750 for one more. At 3,005. At 3,000, 3,005 is the bid now at 3,005. Anyone for 750? At 3,005 we are bid. At 3,000, 3,005 is the bid now at 3,005. With you online at £3,500. I'll take 3,600 if you're nice and quick anywhere else. Is your bid online at the minute? My interest is out. You've come in at 3,005. I'll take 3,600 from anyone else. If you wish to come in, now's your chance. At 3,500, the bid then once. At 3,000, 3,500, the bid then twice. All finished and done. £3,500. That's your bid there again online. £3,500. That is provisionally with you at £3,500. Moving on to lot number 148, 1969, Lotus Elan. Looks absolutely amazing in the yellow. I believe you're directly under me, Lewis. I can't see you, but I hope you're good to go.
Thank you very much, Tom. I mean, the Lotus Elan's a great car. And don't get me wrong, the Plus 2s are also great cars. But if you want the purest expression of Colin Chapman's philosophy of lightweight, nimble cars, this Elan is the bee's knees completely. And I'm not just saying that because it's in this lovely yellow. I mean, going up and down it, it is a nice car in the bright yellow, such a cheerful little car. And one thing I find hilarious, it didn't really come across to me, just the scale of how small these are until you park it in this hole next to a more modern car, and it absolutely dwarfs it. But what you get for that is that when you take this out on the road, you are directly connected to all four of those wheels. And this one, it's got extensive documentation dating back to 1979. It's got 80,000 miles and delicately proportioned, beautiful little car, just cheerful little chappy, in my opinion, that's great fun to have. Looking at the car, the paintwork does have some blistering throughout, and the paint is probably, I mean, depending on what you want to use it for. If you want something you can just take out on a nice day and enjoy for yourself, this is a great little buy. And again, if you want to get it up to that standard, you can get it resprayed. And at £16,000 to £18,000, you add on the price that work on top for a nice example. I don't think that's a million miles out. But again, just something to have a great little bit of fun with. But to find out the final price, we'll head back over to you, Tom.
Thank you very much. Right then, looking at this one then, looks great indeed. Thank you for that, Lewis. We're straight in at £10,000. I'll say 11 next if we can. At 10,000, we start with me on the book here. At £10,000. At 10,000, 10,000 is the bid now at 10. At 10,000, 10,000. At £10,000 is the bid here at 10. At 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. At £10,000 with the commission bidder here at just £10,000. At 10,000, I'll say 10,500 if anyone wants to come in. There's a few of you thinking about it online, coming in for the 500. At £10,000 is the bid now at 10. At 10,000, 10,000 is the bid. At 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, all finished and done then. At just £10,000, surely not. At 10's the bid. At 10,000, 10,000. At £10,000 is the bid now at 10. Are we finished and done at just £10,000? Commission interest with me. Make no mistake. Last chance in fair warning. If anyone wishes to come in at 10,000 once, at 10,000 twice, all finished and done at £10,000. That is provisionally with me at £10,000 to 3012, who left that bid at £10,000. That is very provisional there. Moving down the list, we go to lot number 149, lot number 149, 2007 in the year. It's the Audi TT. This is the 3.2 Quattro, all-wheel drive, all-weather performance. Great cars to drive. These are little bits of fun. We're going to go straight in at £2,000. Two's the bid. At £2,000, we're bid now at 2. Say 2.25 next. 2,250. 2,500. 2,500's bid. At 2,005. At 2,005 is the bid now at 2,005. At 2,005 is bid now at 2,005. 2,750. 3,000's bid. 3,000 back to my commission interest now at £3,000. At 3,000, 3,000 with my interest here. At just £3,000 is the bid now at 3. At 3,000, 3,000, 3,000, are we finishing done? 3,250, you're in and I'm out. At 3,250, we're with the online bidder at the minute. At 3,250 is the bid. At 3,000, 3,250 is the bid now at 3,250. At 3,250, say 3,500 for one more. At 3,250, we are bid. At 3,250 is the bid now at 3,250. All finished and done then. At 3,250, the bid is here online. Would anyone like to come in for 3,500? At 3,250, the bid then once. At 3,250, the bid then twice. All finished, all done. 3,250. That's your bid online, £3,250. That is a provisional bid at £3,250. Thanking you. Moving on to lot number 150, 2005 Mini Cooper S. The Cabriolet, there we go. Nice little convertible Mini, this one. We're going to go straight in at 2, 2.25, 2.5. At 2005, say 2,750 next. At 2005 is bid. At 2005. At 2,000, 2005 is the bid now at 2005. At 2,500, we are bid now at 2,005. One more for 750. 2,750 you do. At 2,750, three's back to me. At £3,000. At 3,000, 3,000, we're bid. At 3,000, just needs to go on one molly. At £3,000. At 3,000 is the bid now at 3. At 3,000, 3,000 is the bid. At 3,000, thank you. At £3,000 is the bid now at 3. At 3,000 online, would you like to go 250 for one more? At 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. Are we finished and done then? Last chance in fair warning. 250, you're back in. I'm out now. At 3,250 is your bid. At 3,250 with the online bidder here. At £3,250, we are bid now at 3,250. At 3,250, 3,250, are we finished? Are we done? Last chance in fair warning online at £3,250. Once, twice. Finishing done then at £3,250. Your bid there, £3,250. Provisional. Moving down the list we go. Registration plate again. This time is a Y1KWE. Y1KWE there. Who's got £100 to start me off on this one? Anyone interested here? Nice little number plate this is. Who's got it there for £100 to start me off today? It needs to be 100. Otherwise, we will move on. If we can't get £100, you're in online. Thank you very much. One's bid. At £100 is the bid now 1. I'll take 50. At £100 is your bid here online. At 100, 100, 100. At £100 is the bid now at 1. At 100, 100, we finished and done. Last chance, fair warning then at £100 is your bid, same way, £100. Thank you to that number bait guy. I hope you get a few online. Moving on to lot number 152. This is definitely something a little bit different, a little bit cool. I've not seen many of these on the roads in my lifetime. Definitely not anymore. It's the 1973. It's the Vauxhall Victor. Look at this there. Look at the character in this one. Absolute great 70s car. Anyone interested? Start me off today for just £2,000, surely. To start me off. Anyone interested at just £2,000, surely? Go to £1,000, won't go any lower. 1,000's bid. At £1,000 is bid. We'll go in quarters on this one. I'll take 250 for one more. At £1,000 is the bid now at 1,000. At £1,000 is the bid now at 1. At 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. At £1,000 is the bid now at £1,000. At 1,000, 1,000, 1,500 bid. At 1,500, 1,500. I got 1,750 with me. At 1,750, 1,750. At 1,750, coming back in for the 2. At 1,750, 1,750. 2,000 you do. I'm going to have to go 2,250, 2,500. One more might do it online. At 2,005 is the bid now at 2,005. At 2,000, 2,005 is the bid now at 2,005. We're bid. Say 2,750 for one more if you're coming back in. At 2,005, are you finished and done online? Would you like to go again? At 2,000, 2,005. At 2,005 is the bid now at 2,005. All finished and done. Last chance in fair warning then. At 2,500, I'll count you down. At 2,005. At 2,500, the bid then once. At 2,500, the bid then twice. All finished and done at £2,500. That's provisional with my commission bidder there. 3012. Provisional bid with you there. £3,500. Moving down the list, we go to lot number 153, 1962 Jaguar Mark II restoration project there. Look at that one. Get your project cars in. I'm straight in at 2,000, 2,250, 2,5, 2,005, 2,750, 2,750. I'll take 3,000 next. At 2,750 is the bid now at 2,753 if you're coming in on this one. At 2,750 we are bid. At 2,750 is the bid now at 2,750. At 2,750 is the bid here with me on the book. At £2,750 are we finishing done? Online underbidder, would you like to come back in for one more? At 2,750 is the bid now at 2,750. At 2,750, we'll count it down then at £2,750 the bid then once. At 2,750, the bid then twice. All finished, all done then at £2,750. We will make the phone call if you are watching. We are a little way off on that one. £2,750. That is provisionally with you online 2012. Moving on to lot number 154. This time, 1972 in the year. The Triumph Spitfire. This one's the one in the yellow. And a lovely example of a classic British roadster. Great Spitfire. This one is absolute stunning car. I've got loads of commission interest on this one. I'm going to go straight in at 3,005. 4's bid. 4,005. 4,005, £5,000. Need to see 5 and a quarter next if we can. At £5,000 is the bid now at 5. At £5,000 go in the quarters now. At £5,000 is the bid now at 5. At 5,000, 5,000 is the bid now at 5,000. Lovely little Spitfire here at 5,000. 5 and a quarter, thank you. 5 and a half back to me though. At 5,005, say 750. 750, you're in. I'm in at 6. At £6,000, say 250 for one more. It's in the market from this point. At £6,000, it's gonna sell today. At 6,000, 6,000 is the bid now at 6,000. At 6,000 on the Spitfire here. At £6,000. At 6,000, 6,000, 6,000. At £6,000 is the bid now at 6,000. Are we finishing done then on the Spitfire this time and away? At £6,000, I am going to sell to the commission bidder once, twice. Finished and done. Hammers up and away it sells at £6,000. Sold it 6,000. Thank you very much. At £6,000. Sold your way to commission bidder 1,000. If you left that bid and you're watching at home, that is yours, £1,000. Moving on to lot number 155, the last ride home today. 2004 is the year. It's this Nissan Navara. Great pickup trucks these are. Great little workhorses. We're straight in. I had 1,000, 12, 14, 16, 18. You're in online at £2,000. Say 2-2 next. We'll go in 200s. Last ride home of the day here at £2,000. 2-2 if you're coming in. At £2,000 is the bid. 2-2 you do. Thanking you. Welcome to you in Thailand. At £2,200, the bid is yours. 2-4. At 2004. At 2004. We're in Kent this time. At 2,400 a bid. Thailand bidder, would you like to go again? At 2006. At 2006 is the bid. In Chiang Mai, I believe. At 2,600, the bid is yours with you. In Thailand now. At 2,600 is the bid. 2008. At 2008 is bid now at 2008. Back to the Kent bidder now at 2,803 at £3,000. At 3,000, 3,000 is bid. We'll go 3-1. It's the last lot of the day. Who's got another £100? At £3,000. At 3,000, 3,000 on the workhorse here at £3,000. The Nissan Navara 2004 in the year at just £3,000 is off to Thailand. At 3,000, 3,000 is the bid. 3-1's bid. At 3,001. At 3,001 is the bid now, 3,002. At 3,002, your bid. At 3,002 is the bid now at 3,002. Would you like to go again online for one more? At 3,002 is the bid now at 3,002. Are you finished and done? Are you coming back in for one more bite? At 3,002 is the bid. At 3,002. Say 3-3 if you're coming back in. Last chance in fair warning underbidder. At 3,200 is the bid now at 3,002. We'll count it down once. At 3,200, are you sure? Are you done? Twice at £3,200. That is your bid online at £3,200. We will need to make a phone call. I'm pretty sure we'll get that one over the line for you. 7746 takes it away. at £3,200 provisional. Just need to make a quick phone call. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the sale concluded for today. We go all again up north. I believe it's the early dates of April. I'm not sure if I've got them in front of me. Have we got the dates for the online? I think it's around the 7th of April, I think. 18th of April coming in. There we go. So thank you very much for bidding online. Keep an eye on our social media, our websites. Lots of information to come. Lots of interesting sales throughout the year, along with a few platinum sales. So keep your eyes peeled. Thank you very much for bidding and see you again next time.